morning, Southlanders. How are you? We hope that you're well. Here's another classic for you. Okay, this is about 3 weeks old. In fact, it goes back to, I think the story first broke in March of this year, 2020. But it became more prominent in early November, almost exactly a month ago today, when there was, for the first time, widespread, not for the first time coverage, but for the first time that I can tell from the internet, widespread coverage of the theft of a painting by one of South Africa's old masters, J.H. Pierneef, usually just referred to by his surname Pierneef, from the O.R. Tambo building in Bloemfontein, that is to say the provincial administration building in Bloemfontein, more specifically from the office of Ace Magashule, the then premier of the Free State in 2018. So in 2018, the Pierneef painting goes missing, and the case is prosecuted, apparently comes to trial in about March of this year, and there was a subsequent hearing in November, or a couple of days of hearings in November of this year, 2020. Now, Pierneef, as I said to you, is regarded as one of South Africa's old masters, and he is the third by price realized, by price obtained, by price paid for his work, the third most valuable painter, artist in South Africa, after, as a matter of interest to you, Irma Stern and Maggie Loubser. He lived from 1886 until 1957. So this painting apparently was on display or in the possession of the office of the Premier of the Free State from about May 2014, something like that. So it was there for about 3 or 4 years. It was stolen, and the guy who apparently stole it is a 42-year-old former bodyguard of Ace Magashule, a guy by the name of Ricardo Metler. This guy apparently took the painting. He claims that it was given to him by Ace Magashule as a gift. He took it one way or the other. It was in his possession, and he offered it to a Chinese businessman, a local Chinese businessman, so presumably a Chinese businessman based in Bloemfontein, as collateral for a loan. He needed or wanted 2.1 million rand. That is to say, Ricardo Metler wanted 2.1 million bucks. He goes to the Chinese businessman and he says to him, if you give me 2.1 million rand, I'll give you this painting as collateral. The painting is worth, according to various estimates, not less than 6 million rand, but perhaps more than 8 million rand. Let's call it, for the sake of this conversation, 8 million rand. Because in recent years, Pierneef's work has fetched more than expected at auction, more than the prevalent or the prevailing estimate of its value. So let's work on 8 million rand. Right, so the guy takes the painting, he offers it to the Chinese businessman. The Chinese businessman does due diligence. He goes, you can't make this stuff up. This is the new South Africa. He goes to an auction house and says to oh, hang on, before I carry on, let me tell you, I've done a whole lot of research, and I can't find anywhere that any site reports the name of the painting. However, I did find a site that showed the painting. So I did a search against that, and I believe it is the painting Kaapse Hoop, which is a mountainscape, a landscape painting of a mountain scene, apparently in the Eastern Free State. And I can't find what year it was painted, when it was painted, or when it was first exhibited. But Kaapse Hoop, a painting of a landscape in the Eastern Free State, worth 8 million rand by J.H. Pierneef. Okay, so the thief, Ricardo Metler, who is a former bodyguard, who was a bodyguard of Ace Magashule. As I say, officer to a businessman, Chinese businessman goes to an auction house and says, look, can you tell me anything about such and such a painting? In that inquiry process, it turns out that the painting has already been given to the auction house, or offered to the auction house. Given to, I think the painting was apparently still in Ricardo Metler's possession, but it was on an auction house listing, according to one article that I just read. So in some way, it was in the process of being given to the auction house to be auctioned. So the Chinese businessman discovers that the painting that's being offered to him as collateral is also being offered to the auction house for auction. To cut a long story short, they arrest this Metler guy. He claims it was given to him as a gift, and there was all sorts of trading of accusations and claims and allegations and so on by the two counsel, the prosecutor and the defense counsel, because apparently Ace Magashule did at some point say to his staff that when he was in the process of vacating his office, the office of the Premier of the Free State, anything I leave behind you can have. The question is only whether he then also said, as he claims, but nothing that belongs to the state. Don't touch things that don't belong to me. My private possessions, anything I might have left behind, a bottle of Hennessy or a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label whiskey, whatever the case may be, a fountain pen, a blotting pad, Italian leather hand-stitched blotting pad or something like you can have. But don't touch things that belong to the state. Ricardo Metler claims that he never said the last portion, the final phrase of that sentence. And in fact, that there was an open invitation to plunder. And so we come to the word that is the theme of today's video, or rather the title of today's video. Well, the theme as well. And that is plunder. South Africa is being plundered, left, right and center. As some of you may know, I have a couple of groups, WhatsApp groups, in which I keep friends of Saitlanders overseas, informed of topics and themes that are important to Saitlanders. Many of them are foreign themes. Our interest, let's say, in elections in Germany, or our interest in the global vaccination program, or our interest in or fascination with the apparently contrived and deliberate imploding of the global economy, particularly that portion of it which is the Western, the first world portion of the global economy. And so sometimes it's South African stuff, sometimes it's not. And in recent weeks, I've been sharing with these people overseas, and we have another group of some senior Suidlanders and so on. Stories of plunder. There was something yesterday that came through of a railway station being angle grinded, being razed to the ground, being cut down. Well, not the entire station, but the shelters, on the platform, on the platforms, just in the public eye, in broad daylight. Guys dismantling and stealing the steelwork, the heavy steelwork of these solid railway platform shelters. And so the list goes on. I mean, there are 1,000 other examples, and I don't like to refer to state capture because it's what's known as a straw man argument. In other words, an argument that misses the point. Let's say, for instance, somebody accused you of, I don't know, accused you of stealing something. And you said to that person, well, last week I saw you, I saw that you had very bad manners towards somebody. In a sense, you score a point. And you distract the attention of the audience from the core of the dispute. The core being the allegation against you that you did something. So you make it about something else. A red herring being, again, a type of a distraction. An eye blind would, so yeah. Where were we? I've lost my train of thought. We were talking about the plundering. State capture. It is a red herring. It is a straw man argument. By focusing attention on state capture, the African National Congress and its liberal allies in the media and in academia and in the liberal elite distract from other previous and now present ongoing examples of theft, corruption, fraud, nepotism, and so on. It's as if I know that I've done something wrong, and you come to me and you confront me about it. And I say, oh, yeah, well, just have a look there. Look. Oh, can you believe it? Look, they're stealing, they're robbing, they're plundering that truck. And everybody's attention is focused upon that event. And they kind of forget what I might be up to or might have done. And the reality is that we know by now the evidence is so overwhelming that it's indisputable that ANC plundering began with, at least, if not prior to, began with the arms deal in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. The amount of theft, the sheer sums of money involved were absolutely phenomenal. But what the African National Congress and its liberal allies managed to do is, again, to kind of keep the focus off the core matters until eventually the interest of the public and the indignation of civil society was exhausted. It gradually waned, and it would recur from time to time. There was a guy called Terry Crawford Brown, Excuse me, I'm just looking at somebody parking outside my driveway, but I don't think they're coming in. And so there would be some sort of interest regenerated from time to time. But on average, it was on a decline. Until now, nobody talks about it. We know that there was theft of state resources under the, let's call it the regime of Nelson Mandela. Again, the regime of Thabo Mbeki and Kgalema Motlanthe. That may not exactly have matched the rampant theft of the period under Jacob Zuma, but which was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. So I don't like to talk about state capture personally, because as far as I'm concerned, it distracts and detracts from the core matter, which is the ongoing nature of this, not merely the temporary phenomenon of the state capture period. So yeah, that's the story for today, is to remind you that our country is being absolutely plundered by the African National Congress, and the attention it is receiving is far less than it should be. Although, thankfully, the story of the theft of the Pirniev painting by Ricardo Metler, with or without the connivance of the then Premier of the Free State, the notorious Ace Magashule, has indeed been well reported, or was indeed well reported by many, many news sites, some of which I must say I've never heard in my life. Now that's it, everybody. Thank you for listening. This has been quite a long video, 17 minutes all told. Hope that you liked it. Put the thumbs up if you did like it. Ring the bell. You know that little bell? I can ring that bell if you want notifications from this site, from this channel, of new videos. And take very good care of yourselves in these tricky times, man. Tricky, tricky times. It's almost as if I don't want to stick my neck out too far here. So I'll choose my words carefully, but it is almost as if they sense that things are coming to an end. And that they should take as much as they can, as quickly as they can. May that be a lesson to all of us. Perhaps things are moving towards some sort of a crisis moment. Let's see. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Take it easy and speak soon. Cheerio. Bye-bye.